Our session today hopefully is the answer, or at least gets us thinking about the answers to the questions, who needs online learning? And based on the first item that I posted, what's interesting to me, and I kind of anticipated this when the shutdown for COVID started, is that as I was looking up information for this session today, there is a lovely abundance of recent research. If you could see my stack of papers over here that I've pulled up and things to share with you today. It is fascinating to me, some of the things that have come up about the challenges that our students are facing. We have the students who've been maybe working, who may have be caregivers at home, or there's all kinds of issues that our students have come up with that we need to support them in their learning. And I will be sending you the listing of the resources that I have used after this session. So I have another Slido poll, and again, it is the same link. And so, what challenges have instructors experienced as we have been providing learning for our students? Because the impact has been on our students, certainly, but it's been a pretty impressive impact on instructors as well. So what things have come up for you or others that you've chatted with as far as making all of this happen for our students as well as for us? And you can put as many responses in as you think of. Not be dependent learners, yeah. And that is an interesting concept, because we want them to be independent, and yet there are so many that we don't have a real handle on, and not tech savvy. And that goes for students and instructors as well. It was when we first did that magic leap from whatever normal teaching was at that point into the shutdown, and in theoretically at this point being post-COVID. I don't know if that's an accurate statement or not, but having to jump in and learn stuff on the fly almost was a challenge. Definitely has been a challenge. Anything else? Again, you're welcome to jump right in there. The QR code or the link at Slido, either one is fine. And needless to say, there has been a lot of research in this area too about the impact on instructors, and and there's pros and cons on both sides of it. Things that have made it work well for us, but things that have also given us some challenges as we've moved along the way. What we will be talking about today, and I truly appreciate whatever insights you want to share, and I know that we have posted the message, but if you want to ask a question or just share a comment, I believe you can raise your hand, and our host Vinny will open your mic, and you are welcome to speak. So as we think about these things today, we're sharing our student challenges as well as instructor challenges, and everyone who's been involved has dealt with challenges as well as opportunities as we've gone along. We're going to take a look at some of the communication strategies that support us getting through our challenges. And we're also going to talk about building community within our courses, which leads me to one of the things that I have really been quite impressed with the recent research on is the fact of humanizing online learning. And yes, that is entirely an accurate statement. Yes, it's online, and yes, we can have the capabilities of putting that human element in there so that the students know that there is someone out there who cares. And we're going to talk about some of the skills that we need to support our student needs and to support their learning. So in thinking about our students, we have, well, we haven't had to, but it is recommended a good perspective to shift our perspective, to start thinking more in terms of our students' viewpoint and thinking in terms of what they need to be successful, because that's why we're here. That is why we're here, is to support student success. And our students have a wide range of skills, certainly, and academic diversity. They have experienced a lot of things, probably, well, I won't say probably, I know they've experienced a lot of things that I certainly never had to experience as a student. And that has helped support their learning, but it can also be things that have been roadblocks for them, things that they've had to work through. So in thinking about the student experience and ways that we can support that, we want to consider some effective teaching practices. So take a moment, and I'm a great one. Another one of my focus items is on retrieval practice. And so this is a piece of that for you to stop for just a moment and think about how you learn about your students' issues or your students' skills or what's going on in their world. So think about it for just a moment. And I'm not asking you to post it in a Slido poll, or even, you can jot it down on a piece of paper if you like, but think about how you learn, how you know about what they can do, what they bring to the table, what their issues might be. One of the ways, and I know this is very small writing, I do not expect it to be, this is just to give you an example. One of the researchers and leaders in the field that I have followed has suggested doing a student survey early and within the first week of class, or whatever you think about it, actually, where you ask their name and if there's what they prefer to be called in class and whatever pronunciation might be needed on it. But they also recommend questions of this sort, like this: what of the following describes you? Is it are you first semester in college? Are you the first one in your family to attend college? Is this your first online class? Things like that. The suggestion is also that I may be giving you feedback in video or voice this semester, and wanting to know if that's comfortable for them. In one word, describe how you're feeling about this class. And when you do that early on in the semester, it's interesting the results that you get. And then what is one thing that you're most likely to interfere with your success, what you think might be coming up if they're caregivers for either children at home or grandparents. If they're caregivers in any way, shape, or form, that could certainly interfere. One of the questions they have is, do you work? Yeah, that's one on the what describes you. If you work more than 20 hours a week, that would certainly be something to consider as you're thinking about being successful in the class. What are your academic goals? What is one characteristic of a great online class? And then anything you'd like to share at this point. And I will be sending you the link to this type of a survey. There's a variety of ways of doing it. It could be a Google form, but it can also be, there's a way of doing a survey through Canvas. And this information is personal. It is just, it's not shared with the rest of the class. It's just shared between the student and you. And it is also highly recommended that you make some notes about that. I've always kept a chart for the students with information that they have shared either in their introduction to the class, where are you from, or what, that sort of thing, what languages are spoken at your home, things like that. So I've always kept a listing of different things that are key, maybe pets or just whatever things that they mention that are of note, and so that you can use it to refer back to them when you are checking in, when you're talking with them and sharing with them. There's also a component in the Canvas gradebook where you can add notes on the student listing. That's not shared, though that information is not shared out with students. It's just information that's there on that page for you. So it certainly makes it a way of letting them know that you are paying attention and that you do care about what's going on for them. So here's another one of our polls. What tools do you use to support student learning? So could be tools that are within Canvas. It could be something outside of Canvas. I'm a great fan of, well, it's called Flip now. It has been Flipgrid. I'm a fan of Padlet. Things that we can do to support student learning and student engagement, which is what leads to student learning. So again, this is Nearpod, yes. Yeah, and we've had several professional development sessions done by someone who uses it a great deal for her classes. Yeah, connections to social media, good for you, because that's important to our students. Kahoot is another great one. Yeah, thank you. Tools to support student learning, and we'll be thinking of more and adding to that list. So one of the things that we can consider adding to that are communication tools. Where and when do students get the information? And one of the really strong recommendations is reaching out to them even before class starts. They're interested in knowing what to expect from the class, and we'll be doing this through Canvas, and actually syllabi are going to be, I believe it's starting with the summer semester, supposed to be available before the class opens so that they can actually see that. You will also want to let them know that there's a variety of tools that you will be using and why you're using them. We're not interested in the tools just for a cool tool's sake, although we do have lots of cool tools, but how it fits into your class. I mentioned Flipgrid as one of them that I like to use. And that's important, especially in an online class, because it's something that they can interact, not necessarily real time. It can certainly be asynchronous, but interact with each other and can see and hear each other talk about various things. It's at its most basic, a visual discussion board type of a format so that the students can respond to a question and then others can respond back to them. So if there's any supplemental information that you are sharing with your students, you want to be sure and let them know what it's going to be and provide them with opportunities to use it that are low stakes, no stakes, a way that they can use it to get comfortable. Which takes me to my next. You want their experiences, particularly as they're learning the tools, to be in a judgment-free environment. Many students may not be comfortable with the video. That's why you had the question on why we included the question on the survey about, would you be, are you comfortable with a video or audio response, or would you prefer written? So you want their opportunities for them to share as well to be in a judgment-free, low stakes, no stakes, a way that they can try out the tools without it being something that's going to impact their grade, in a negative way. And I'm going to ask you if anybody wants to make a comment or share something that I might have triggered a thought for. So as I said, I have developed a great interest in the concept of humanizing online learning. And I first learned the term from Michelle Pacansky-Brock, and I will be sharing a lot of information from her, and information from her website and from her own personal research, but making the class feel more human and more interactive so that there's connections between you and your students is a part of what makes it a truly equitable and community. And it definitely adds to that whole community perspective. This is from one of her articles, that the instructor and student relationships, those connections, are what is really a key to making sure that your students know that you are someone that cares. That survey that gives you information that they've shared with you, and making a comment to them about, I know there's several people in here that are fond of their dogs or their cats, or just some ways of letting them know that you are involved with them. And of course, that is also, there's both sides to that coin as well. You also want to be certain that you're not oversharing and you're not asking them to overshare, but just to be a part of being connected with each other, that tissue between the students and the instructor. And that interaction makes the course certainly more engaging for the students, but that engagement also supports the fact that they are more willing to take the leap, to do the projects, to be a part of what's going on in the class. Building your class as a community is truly an important piece of having that student to instructor communication and interaction. One of the things that I read, which I thought was great, was the idea of instead of using the term office hours, which most of us think we're all familiar with, but for students perhaps with a different cultural background might interpret it as a time that you're going to be in your office and not to bother you. So replace that terminology with student time. This is when I will be available to discuss with you, answer any questions, or share anything that you want to share. The idea of creating a class philosophy, setting ground rules for the class that everyone agrees on, is a really, really valuable one. I've always done that with classes that I teach. Now, what I teach is normally pre-service teachers, students who are planning on going into the school system. So it's important for them to understand that if the students have a part in creating the ground rules for the class, that they will be more likely to recognize the value of them. Those the class philosophy and the community ground rules. The link I have on there is one that I also share with my students, Vision of Students Today, and then a more recent remix of it, because it's a poignant video, and I will put the link to that in the resources that I send you as well. Things that we can do to provide support for our learners, certainly, but also for ourselves as instructors. And it has to do with the concept of empathy, that we understand where each other is coming from, to whatever degree we can understand that, and understand where they hope to go and how we can support them in getting there. So rather than talking about classwork or homework, but we are engaging in an educational activity that's going to help us all better understand these concepts that we're talking about. Things like that support our students in being able to connect with each other and develop relationships with other people that will help them as they move forward. And we have had a really definite realization over the past 3 years that learning and education is more than just coming, sitting in class, listening to a lecture, and moving on. That there's academic, there's social, there's emotional, all of it is tied into one very lovely wrapped package. Has to do with listening and adapting to where we are and where we're going. So other forms of support are building those connections. And I had to chuckle when I saw this image. I'm a great jigsaw puzzle fan, and there is absolutely no way I would want to work that puzzle, because I would not have the motivation to want to do that puzzle, and I love them. So think about your educational activities and how they will serve the student's knowledge or skill building. What can it do to scaffold into something that is already a part of what they have in their knowledge base, and how things we're doing can add to it. And then again, going back to the information that you got from them on that survey, is this activity feasible given your students' circumstances? If they're working a 40-hour job in addition to trying to carry 3 or 4 or more classes, those are things that you definitely want to take into consideration. And you want to consider the emotional trauma that we've all been through in the last 2+ years, actually 3 now. I think we're right at the 3-year anniversary of when all that started. And be thoughtful, excuse me, about how those issues were raised in the class, how we interact, how we deal with those questions and concerns. One of the things that I have found in some of the research that I've been doing for this is the concept of the asynchronous video communications. And if you've dealt with our department at all, you know that we strongly support your video persona in your course. We encourage everyone that we work with to create a personal video, to create a video about the course itself, to create videos about short videos. And what's interesting is the research that I have found indicates that 6 to 10 minutes is probably as much as you want on any. Now you can do several of those 6 to 10 minute videos, but you want it to be short so that they're going to listen to it. And then being willing to just pop in with a maybe an on the fly video at some point that you create. I love to do nature hikes, and I'd enjoy sharing some of that with students if I'm out at one of the local nature centers, which I realized as I was thinking about it today, I need to get out and check the birds' nest out there, because they should be nesting, and there should be little ones in the nest now, and I love to see that. So, and I also love to share that sort of thing with the students, just so that they see that personal side of me, but also to figure out, what kind of a connection they can make with what's going on in their world and how to transfer that into their education. There's quite a bit on video communications. You can ask them to do video responses, and within Canvas we have it built right into that. You can do video responses in discussion boards, and you certainly could do a video announcement for them. Hey, I was thinking about you today, and let's talk about what we've got coming up this week, because that might, you might want to schedule some extra time for a particular project, or, any place that you can put any of those little short, quick, even an on the fly video will give them the ideas that you are there, that you're thinking about them, and you're there for them. And of course, know that all it takes is a couple of quick emails. If you want to come in and record some of those quick short videos in our studio, we have quite a fantastic media team that will guide you through the process, and almost literally, probably literally, hold your hand during the whole process in order to provide your students with what they need to know in order to be successful in the class. And that's our bottom line. That truly is exactly where we're wanting to go with this. And this is some information that I have received from some of the administrators within our department about what's going on in our academic world, maybe certainly above my head, and to give you some idea of what information is and will be coming down the pike. A recent survey of students asking them to indicate the modalities of instruction that they prefer, and there's a clear message coming through. And it probably would not be a surprise to anybody to know that the students want flexibility in their schedules. They like certain things in an in-person environment, but they also like to know that there can be the option of being a fully online. Assignments certainly are best set up within Canvas so that they can access them and in their own time and on their own device. There was a really interesting article about the data that UCF, University of Central Florida, has been doing since long before COVID hit, about the types of devices that our students are using. And of course, I'm sure it comes as no surprise to anyone to know that mobile devices are definitely being used more and more as we move forward. Mobile devices and laptops are definitely strong in use. And the data from the state university system, it reports indications that students who took a mix of in-person and online courses reduced their time to the degree, which is one of the standards that's being held by the state university system. But not only that, that they came out of their courses with a better understanding of the concepts that they needed to know, because they had that flexibility. They had the ability to try things out and to figure out what works best for them given their time restraints. There are also geographical restraints. We have military personnel taking our online classes, and they may not be available at the times that we normally think of as class times. So there's all sorts of variety of reasons, good reasons, solid reasons for having flexibility in the online process. So I have one more Slido poll for you. What's your takeaway? Is there something that maybe you hadn't thought about before that you would like to try? Know that you can reach out to us for questions, for support, something that that we can help you with. We have what we refer to as Open Lab, and you can submit an Open Lab request at any time, and we can have someone meet with you and spend some time with you to answer questions or to guide you through something. We also have available the process where we help you design courses, and you may have been a part of that, or someone in your department has been a part of that. So our department, Center for Online and Continuing Education, has quite a few opportunities, and I will send you that link as well for you to try, to have us help you with a course build in any way that that works best for you. So we are here for you. Respond to a call in radio style instead of required attendance, Zoom, or asynchronous recording. That sounds like a fascinating question. We do have some faculty that are experimenting with the podcast sort of presentations too. So what a great question. I like that. Instead of required attendance and Zoom or asynchronous. Yeah. So there are a lot of options. I'm working with someone who is try the COCE video for student engagement. Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm working with someone who is using the idea of an overview essential question to take a look at different points during the course, during the semester, with a different perspective. So if we've just spent, excuse me, a couple of weeks talking about one aspect of something, then how does that relate to the essential question for the course, that overview question? And these are questions that don't have a specific answer, but just a way of reflecting on how they would work and how this fits into that. And what's really fascinating with that is that it gives students the perspective of how they have progressed throughout the semester in thinking about that essential question, and then thinking about it from a different point of view, and then another point of view, and how it all comes together at the end. So that's a great approach to it. Try the COCE video for student engagement. So we're going to need to send that link out too. So I'm excited to be sharing this with you. And I hope that your perspective of who needs online learning. And my answer to that question is we all do, now more than ever, now more than ever. So, and this is from one of the research articles. School shouldn't be a building designed to monitor every aspect of our students, but a place where we can go on this intellectual journey and get support, whether it's emotional, educational, or resource-based. And that's my call to you, and that's what you are here for. So I appreciate the fact that you were willing to spend some time with us today, and I'm delighted to have you join us, and looking forward to hearing from you. Please let me know if you have any questions or if we can help you in any way. So thank you for taking the time, for spending this time with me today.